Hey everyone, welcome to Shimmer Girl Talks. Today's topic, do white men make better supervisors? And this lady that you will see right here, Tony Childs, you can find us on TikTok. I'm sure she got into some hot water by making that declaration. But I am going to chime in on my own personal experience. Now, decades ago, I would have said the same thing, and I'm going to get to that. The order that I wanted my supervisors, and I literally used to say this decades ago: white men first, white women second, black men third, black women fourth. And obviously it depends on your job. You know, I've done everything. I used to be a bank teller. I used to be a unit secretary in a hospital. I've worked in the doctor's office. I've worked retail. There was a time that I was going to go in to be a police officer. Yes, Shimmer Girl, police officer. I aced the written and writing, but I couldn't do the agility. But that's besides the point. So let me get into my opinion. White men, this is what I used to say years ago before YouTube. And let me just go off on a quick segue. Because black people, particularly black women, they be swearing up and down that you just making up stuff just to say stuff, just to put black women down or whatever. No, I used to say this long before YouTube having these discussions. And in this case, this was on TikTok. I used to say I preferred white males as supervisors because, number one, they were used to being in supervisory positions. And typically, my own personal experience back then, they tended to not be on power trips. They tended to be more fair. White women, pretty much the same thing. I found myself, when I used to work retail, I used to work at a hardware store, and I was my supervisor's pet. Yeah. White women, and even some white men, tended to make me their employee pet. And I don't mean that in a derogatory term or whatever. I tended to be their model employee that they kind of propped up, and it made other people mad. I'm talking about one job in particular. I had a couple of white males that could not stand me because they knew that the supervisor kind of put me in a position of, I was like a, what do you call it? I was the housewares manager at this particular store where I used to work. And so she kind of, propped me up, but I'm kind of going besides the point. So the white males tended to not be on a power trip. That's the main thing that I found with having white male supervisors. The white female supervisors, as I said, tended to elevate me in, certain positions or whatever. Does not mean that I've always had good white male supervisors or white female supervisors. That's not what I'm saying. But as a collective, I tended to be okay under their supervisory positions. And another thing that I've said in regards to working with white people, if you had to stand up for yourself to them, they tended to either back down or, okay, let's resolve this and let's work together. Where I work now, which obviously I won't name, it is probably 80 or so percent black. And one thing that I found with the black male supervisors is they tend to want to chat up the young females, the eyelashes and the big butts. That's what I've noticed with the black male supervisors. Everything is jokes and games. They got to be homeboys with everybody. They got to be kind of flirty with the young females. You know, that's just my personal observation. The black women, I've had some pretty cool black female supervisors where I work now. Whereas in the past, I would have never said anything like that, because I used to work at JCPenney. I will say that. JCPenney many moons ago, probably longer than some of you have been alive. And I had this one black female supervisor who was hateful and nasty and dirty as the day is long. Nasty. And I remember one day, she must have been having some personal problems, which that's not an excuse to bring your nastiness to work. Even if she wasn't having personal problems, she probably still would have been a nasty human being. And I remember one day, I had to go to her office for something, and she was in her office sobbing. I mean, tears. I don't think I ever did find out what was her deal. It seems like she might have been going through a divorce maybe. This is over 30 years ago. But I find I'll say the black women that I had as supervisors in the past as opposed to now. The ones that I had in the past, they were on power trips. They were nasty. They were obvious with their favoritism. I find out with the black males too. They tend to be very obvious with their favoritism, with their favorites or whatever. And those people can typically get away with any and everything. And, you know, but where I work now, I've had some really cool black female supervisors, and I've had some real crappy white male supervisors. And let me tell you something. I had this one white male supervisor, and he and I were forever butting heads. I don't know I didn't know at the time what his issue was with me. And then I come to find out it was a black witch in his ear. Nothing I could do could keep him off of me. And it was because of that witch. And I told somebody one day that I would prefer to work in a predominantly white male setting with no black women. With no black women. And that might burn or sting some people, but we are our worst enemy. And I'm going to tack this on to this topic since I'm talking about it. Black people need to get over the racism talk. Because everything that I feel that I've been through with white people in racism in the work setting, black people have done it and more. Black people do all of that. They try to set you up, sabotage you, lie on you, slander your name. Black people do the exact same thing. So, in a nutshell, do white males make the better supervisors? 20, 30 years ago, I could confidently say yes, because, you know, they tended to be the ones in the leadership roles. But now, as more opportunities open up for people, and depending on who is around that white man, if you're in a predominantly white setting, you'll probably be okay. My personal experience. But if it's black women in the mix and she don't like you, then you're probably going to have issues with that white man that you wouldn't have if she wasn't in his ear. So, as I said, years ago, I would have said white men, white women, black men, then black women. Now it's a toss-up because it's a different day. And that's my topic for today. Tell me what has been your personal experience with supervisors. Is there a particular order in which you would prefer your supervisors?